And I'm back. John Lavenia here. Welcome to yet another Success Series video. And today, I'm going to talk to you about an old story that I heard, which originated with a guy named Scott Alexander, who is a guy I know, excuse me, from California. He's written some books about what he calls Rhinoceros Success. Have you ever seen this book? He had a series of 3 books. And last I communicated with him, I think he was doing another one, like the 4th in the series or something. But these were written back in the early 80s, where he talked about equating different or sort of using a metaphor with different kinds of animals and different people, different personality types. And the main 2 animals that he talked about most in the first book, which was Rhinoceros Success, is cows and rhinos. Now, you may have heard some variations of this story, but I suspect that there's a lot of new people that are new to home-based business. Maybe you've never heard of Scott Alexander or this book. Scott, if you're watching, how you doing? And there's been a few variations, or the story's gotten sort of twisted up as it goes, but the point is pretty solid. So I want to give you the latest John Lavenia version of the story of the cows and the rhinos. And it starts on a cow pasture. I want you to just think of this, and then we're going to get to the punchline in the end. Okay, so check this out. Picture a cow pasture, and you've got all these cows sitting around on the cow pasture, eating the grass and chewing their cud, and they're basically doing nothing. They just live off whatever the farmer's throwing at them. Here's the hay or whatever. And although these days, right, with the food industry, it's like, well, here's your processed, meal with the corn and the other cow parts and stuff. But let's say that it was actually a pastoral environment, and these were happy, complacent cows, okay? And they're just kind of waiting for the slaughter, right? They don't know what's going on. Their life is about chewing their cud and whatever. Now, in the middle of this herd of cows, there's a rhino, which is totally out of place, right? What's this rhino doing here? And the rhino is eating the grass and chewing on stuff and looking at these other cows. And the rhino becomes very dissatisfied with the cow pasture. In the distance, the rhino can see this wonderful promised land, this land of plenty, right? And he thinks, well, I think I want to leave the cow pasture and go to that promised land. Now, the interesting thing about this whole situation is that this rhino is surrounded by cows. And the cows, you see, they all have thin skin. It's very thin and very frail compared to the rhino, which has thick 2-inch skin and has a big horn on his head or her head, whether it's a male or female. And so the cows say, well, why don't you just be a cow like us? I mean, we're here on the pasture. You got the grass to eat. Why don't you just be satisfied with what you got? It's not so bad. But the rhino knows that he or she is a rhino. So against the good opinion of the cows, and some of these are elder cows in the cow herd, right? They've been there a long time. They're the learned. Okay, but against the good opinion of the elders and the rest of the cow tribe, our rhino friend leaves the cow pasture and ventures into the jungle. You see, the cows don't like to leave the cow pasture because between the cow pasture and the promised land, there's this jungle. And you see, the jungle is not necessarily a friendly place, right? There's thorns and spikes that come out of the different plants, and there's hunters shooting arrows and stuff. I mean, it's a jungle out there. And the cows, of course, they're thin-skinned. But our rhino charges out into the jungle because, hey, that's what rhinos do. They charge. Okay. And the rhino, on their journey through the jungle, meets with adversity, right? They find that, yes, in fact, there's thorns and there's stuff, there's ththings to learn. Hey, and they met other rhinos on the path, and this rhino said, hey, look, I was just over there, and there's a hunter over there, and they're shooting guns around and stuff. So you don't want to walk into a bullet, right? I mean, you'd be smart too. Okay, it's not about just being charging rhino, it's about being smart too. So the rhino learns stuff and develops their skin even thicker. And sure enough, one day arrives at the promised land and has a nice rest, drinks the cappuccino, sits in the mud bath, right? Which rhinos like to do. And then what does this rhino do? This rhino jumps back into the jungle to see other new fledgling young rhinos to help them find their way. And one day, while it was break time at the mud hole, this rhino, this original one that we've been talking about here, is thinking, every now and then I meet a new rhino that comes out of the jungle, and they come here, and I wonder where are all these rhinos coming from? What was it that was on the other side of this jungle? Let me see if I can remember. And in a moment of clarity, our rhino friend realizes, that's right, it was the cow pasture. And they realize that all the while, all those cows were really rhinos. They had just gotten conned so thoroughly. I mean, talk about a scam. They had been conned so thoroughly into believing that they were cows that they looked, acted, and smelled like cows, to the extent that they would deny themselves their own rhino destiny of going out into the jungle, charging and kicking ass and learning whatever they need to learn to live the life of luxury that they choose in the promised land. And so, as I tell you this story, what's coming up for me is the essence of home-based business, what we know of as network marketing, direct sales, affiliate marketing, the whole idea of being able to transition out of an employee environment and mindset to transition out of a dependent mindset and an effect, and to actually become the cause in our own life. And to do that with the aid and the mentoring of others. Is there a learning curve? Yes, you got to go through the jungle. Is it worth it? Is it worth the price? I could tell you, my friend, absolutely yes. No question about it. Without reservation and without hesitation, yes, it's worth it. Because once you know that you're a rhino, once you know that, yes, it's not okay. I'm not satisfied with the cow pasture. I'm not satisfied with just being passive and regurgitating the same stuff that I hear everybody else say and not really doing anything of significance with my life. Once you got that entrepreneurial spirit inside you, you become that rhino, there really is no going back. Now, here's the interesting thing that happens. Because we're in this industry or this profession, which is designed to empower others, to edify and lift other people up, so they too can get their rhino skin, grow the horn, and come drink cappuccinos at the mud hole. Okay, because we're in that industry, and because we, as rhinos, can understand that there's a lot of people, or a lot of so-called rhinos on the cow pasture that are acting like cows, and because it's so glaringly obvious to us, we sometimes meet with opposition from those that we are looking to serve. Okay, let's say you got a cow, and they're very, very much seated into the way of being a cow. Like that's been most of their life is being a cow. They forgot their childhood of when they were a natural charging, risk-taking rhino, and they are now a complacent, stinky cow, chew and cud. Okay, this cow can can sort of bark at us, right? There's a saying that the cows hate the rhinos. Now that doesn't mean that the rhinos hate the cows, okay? Because here's the thing: we have compassion. Where does compassion come from? You may want to write this down. Compassion comes from understanding. Okay, people that are railing against something that they're very critical of, typically they've wronged that thing that they're critical of, or they don't understand that thing that they're critical of. Okay, they criticize the unknown, or they criticize that thing that they're trying to diminish. Think about this. This is actually some heavy-duty psychology here. Okay, so since we do understand, since we know, hey, most people are living in ignorance. Okay, they just don't know, or they've shut themselves off from knowing. Because we understand that, now we can have compassion. We can actually pity them a little bit, but we don't have to be mad at them, even though they may be mad at us. So you see, it's taking the higher road. It's actually a very noble thing to be a rhino. And I'm going to talk about this in a future video, why it's actually good and right and very unselfish of you to make a pile of friggin' money. It's actually a very unselfish thing for you to do. Of course, the cows don't think this. Right? The cows think, well, if he gets more grass, then I get less grass, so it's competitive thinking, and there's only so much grass to go around on the cow pasture. I'm talking about, grass that cows eat on the field, not the other kind of grass. Okay? So, but as a rhino, we think, well, we just create our abundance, right? We create a market for ourselves. We do marketing, we increase the demand for that which we supply, right? We're doing something, we're causing our affluence to occur. All the raw materials were always there for me, for the cow, for anybody. So think about this, okay? You, as a person who is seeking to be more causative in your life, which we could also say more effective in your life, cause and effect, right? You want to be more effective, right? Be more causative. Okay, cool. So you as a person, a rhino, looking to be more causative in your life, you're going to find that a lot of the people you're attempting to serve will clutch onto their cow comfort zones, because here's the thing, and this is sort of the punchline, the second punchline. The first punchline was they're all rhinos. They've just been conned into thinking they're cows. Okay, that was the first punchline. The second punchline is the purpose of the herd is to keep you in the herd. Okay, so check it out. You know, your friends, family, and neighbors think you're crazy for getting into one of those things. Hey, nobody makes it in those kind of things. Why don't you get a real job? Right? The purpose of the herd is to keep you in the herd. And why is that? To endorse or to co-sign and to maintain agreement as a group which knows that they're living in mediocrity and they're not willing to do anything about it. Your success, you're charging through the jungle like a friggin' machine and ultimately getting to the promised land and making more money in a month than they make in a year, okay, is a glaringly obvious example of their complacency, of their having given up, of their mediocrity. Therefore, the purpose of the herd is to keep you in the herd. And you can read books about this. In fact, I do recommend read Dorothea Brand, Wake Up and Live. And you know what? I'll put a copy of it on this page if you're on the Bold Statement Marketing page. So you can just download the PDF. It was written in 1936 during the Great Depression. The first 4 chapters of this woman's book, powerhouse author. First 4 chapters are about failure and why it's so great and why everybody loves it. It's really awesome stuff. So bold author. I like bold. Bold statement, damn it. Make a bold statement. That's it for now. Leave a comment. I'd love to read it. Share this if you got some value out of it. And if anything I could do for you or any topics you'd like to hear about, leave them in your comments as well. I'll see you on the next video coming up here real soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.